Hello, Boris Pravisham here. This is a little different to the last time I was here. I'm really not sure on this blue color. Over on the Merry Friends series, over in the center, wherever that is, yeah, it's out there somewhere, where we're building the post office at the moment. That's in another series. I'll talk about that in a moment. In that series, I pointed out that the yellow is always a good highlight to have because of these. On the models, the yellow is unchangeable, that secondary color, and that grey as well. So the greys and the yellows are good highlights to have, I think, just in general, because they do match those of the models, the defaults. Not that you really notice that much difference, but especially when just ignore the colouring on this. It's the ugly berry for a reason. But especially when you've got things on the outside, the yellow is useful, and you'll find mods that change colours for that very reason. You'll notice that I try to park the ugly berry as close as I can so that I don't have to fly very far. Sorry about the shaky camera. Yes, so I'm not sure about the blue. Of course, I'll have to break it up a little bit more, but this is starting to look a little cartoonish, and I think it's because I have the saturation all the way up on these blocks. So it's looking too well painted, and I don't know if that blue is suitable as the primary color. So I might have to change that. With DirectX 11 here, and being very dark as well, having a dark color on the wall might not be a good idea. Something to, not that I don't know if light actually reflects. I don't think it's that advanced, but at the very least it feels lighter. Just briefly about DirectX 11, I'm pretty sure it's a driver problem. I can't even open the game if I have DX11 on at the moment. It just crashes on the loading screen. So I'm pretty sure it's a driver problem. The only thing is that for the past 3 years, driver updates, for the graphics driver updates, they have been breaking everything to the point now where usually over the course of maybe about a month, my computer just sort of slowly degrades, with there being more and more seemingly unrelated errors, until eventually I end up in a startup repair, and I have to reinstall my OS. I've reinstalled my OS about 3 times a year for the past 3 years, mostly because every single time that it happens I go, this is the last time I'm doing this. I'm going to find out once and for all why this is happening, and then I start playing Space Engineers. And I don't. That's been happening for about 3 years now. So, although I think the problem is probably sorted, and it's probably not going to happen again because I made some hardware changes, I'm not going to risk it because I'm on probably the most stable driver that NVIDIA has made for my graphics card, just in its history of graphics drivers. I chose it specifically because I wanted to be able to play GTA, because the GTA specific driver doesn't work with it for some reason. So I've had to go back to this one. It's a couple of years old, and I'm pretty sure that's why my DirectX 11 isn't working, but I'm not going to try it until after the end of this month, because we have an event planned. We're in the planning stages and making sure that it's going to work before it happens. But just to let you know, the weekend of the 27th and 28th of June, keep that aside because something will be happening. But anyway, so I'm going to wait until after that before I try DirectX 11. So it's 2 or 3 more weeks before I move over. If you're wondering, the performance increases seem to be worth it. Alone, it's very dark, but I'll just have to light things up even more, and the lighting doesn't seem to affect the performance as much, at least judging by other people. Anyway, that was too long an explanation, so let's I'll show you what I've got up here. Let's not do it the wrong way round and break it again. So I've got you know how I said I was going to build a connector up here? That's what I'm doing. I very briefly showed this off in the collab I did with Minty and Sal, but I'll talk about it properly now because it is more finished. There will always be little sort of touches of improvements and stuff like that. So this blast door will come back. I will be fiddling with the speeds and everything like that. That's because at some point I'm pretty sure the meteors are going to come on. Well, I'll turn them on. We'll give everyone like a week's notice and say the meteors will be on for a week or so. So be prepared and just give everyone a reason to come on and make some changes, that kind of thing, just to spice things up a little bit. So I'm going to make everything meteor friendly. So I've got this blast door over the delicate connector. I did this connector because if you missed the last episode, I want a ship the size or even bigger than the Ugly Barry to be able to dock with this station, and that's hard when there's asteroid around it and it's a round shape. So having a connector stick out quite a fair way is going to be helpful. If you've got a connector sticking out, it looks pretty bad unless you have some sort of aesthetic thing around it. Sorry, my mouse sensitivity, I change it up and down with I've got buttons on my mouse for that, so I make the camera a bit smoother for you. And this thing, which has been, of course, titled the erection, while it's erecting there, and it'll stick up so you can dock with that. I will have that on a timer so that it all happens automatically, and hopefully with sensors as well. So it will sense when a ship is within range, and I will have some sort of marking so that people know where to dock, that kind of thing. But that's all in the future. The timers aren't in yet because things with timers, once you put them down, you don't really want to move them because all the configuring and working it out again. So I want a specific place to be able to put them. Like a mainframe room, I guess. And I had this problem on the Season 1 world where I wanted that room because I knew I wasn't going to want to change where those timers were. See, like that reactor that's just sitting there, I can move that easily when I have proper reactors and so forth. So I can have a temporary one, but you can't really have temporary timers. So after the connector, which is now finished, the next stage is this industrial area, and then I'm going to do the mainframe room straight after that. So that way I've got that set up and ready so I can start playing around with timers and have this stuff going. So I've got this connector here. I wasn't able to record much for the past week, which is why I sort of did a quick collab. By record, I mean I didn't have much time to play while recording. Of course, my oxygen is low. So I had to do this all off camera. Let's just quickly go up here. So probably shouldn't leave those things connected. I know it's probably for she's probably got a good reason for it, but they start shaking. I noticed that the other day. I came in here and the entire ship was vibrating. So it oops, I got to disconnect before I fly away. There we go. Oh, this is a fast ship. Okay, I'll just leave them off there and I'll tell her about that later. Or if I forget, she'll probably see this video. Yeah, who needs communication when you can just wait for someone else to watch something you've recorded? Ah, Minty's here. I'll respond to him in a second because I'm just about to cut away. This is what I'm doing down here. So that connector runs into this cargo container. I haven't welded these up yet. I'm just sort of laying the scaffolding. And I'm going to have those two cargo containers which lead down to this refinery room, which I'm not happy with yet, but yeah, we'll discuss that later. And then there's probably going to be assemblers beneath here. And I'm going to have a sort of a cargo bay area in here. Maybe a few other things with cargo as well. I'm thinking of the scripts that you can get that people have written, because of course I'm not going to I'm not going to do any programming myself. That seems to be the opposite of fun. I don't know why you'd want to program in a game. That's what you do at work. Anyway, yeah, I'm probably going to steal someone else's script, or they put it up in the workshop to be used. I'll credit them for it, of course, so that you can show like the output of what's in your cargo containers. I'm hoping to be able to take either someone's script and sort of make it more specific, or because I'll carve it down. I won't write it from scratch, but I'll carve it down to what I need, or if someone's already done it, so that I could have a whole variety of like LCD screens up on a big wall where, you know, one will say like platinum and then give me the exact amount of platinum that I've got in my system, if that's even possible. I haven't really looked into the possibilities of any of this, so that I can have a big wall of it, rather than Anubis, I think, had it on the Season 1 world, where he had like an LCD screen up on the wall, and it sort of had a printout of all the resources, but I want them nice and big all across the wall, like an LCD screen each. So I'll look into that afterwards. But yes, I will just briefly cut away here and come back and sort of try and sketch out what we're going to do with this industrial area. I was thinking about having like a curved room with the assemblers in a curve. So just to sort of place them roughly where they may go. So it's 2 there, 1 there, and then 2 there. 3 there. That's not really the right curve there, but I guess you get the idea. Sort of this room like that. Plenty of assemblers in cooperative mode mean that all the pieces will be built rather quickly. I mean, the ugly barrier itself has, you know, half that of assemblers, and everything's very fast. Even construction components get through pretty quickly. So what I'm thinking is, and I'll just take you through the plan rather than building it today, and I'll do another episode fairly quickly, so that get a bit more of a progress rather than me just turning up with a huge connector build. So these are the temporary containers. I've put 2 in, probably won't need it, but it's just in case, you know, as an overflow. By the way, I don't really know my way around the conveyor sorters terribly well, so the plans might change, or you know, you'll probably post a comment saying everything's horrible. You won't be able to do that. But this is my plan for the time being. So these ones, there will be another conveyor tube that runs out here to where I am, well, you know, in this general direction. It'll have a conveyor sorter on it, which will pull out ingots, components, hand tools, all those sort of things, and deposit them. I'm thinking of having a sorting system, so like a one main branch of a conveyor tube, and then it will branch out like in multiple different ones with a conveyor sorter on each one. So the conveyor sorter will pull through, you know, components into one, ingots into another, that kind of thing. Any hand tools, stuff like that, they'll probably just be sent straight to a disassembler, so the ingots will get pulled out of there, and then the assemblers will be connected up to. See, it's going to be a bit of a pain trying to organize these without any sort of feedback loops, because they're the biggest problem with conveyor sorters. If you have a loop, then the things just continuously go around in circles. Yeah, so the assemblers can then pull from the cargo containers in this area. I'm not going to have like just a straight wall of them. I'm hoping to have them scattered out a little bit. I like the idea of having this quite open, kind of like a hangar in feel. Not so much a hangar, maybe a warehouse in feel. So quite a few different cargo containers. There'll probably be a fair amount of redundancy and extra conveyor tubes where they don't need to be, which might be a problem, but I'll try and keep them to a minimum, try and find a happy medium between aesthetics and functionality. Maybe like a little office area, so that like where the warehouse manager might be, maybe with a second, like a balcony overlooking it, and that's where all the screens could be up here, so I could check what I have. It's going to be difficult trying to make sure there's no circuits in here. So they would feed, so they're the temporary holding. Things get pulled down. I almost certainly won't need a second one here, will I? In fact, I don't really need this room up here much at all. Well, yeah, they'll come down here, and then they'll be pulled out either sorting all the other things out, any ore will automatically be dragged down through here because the conveyors will, the refineries will pull them, and then I'll have them shoot off into the ingot storage place, and then the ingot storage place would be connected up to the assemblers. But how do I get them back? Because I don't want all the ingots being just sitting in these assemblers, because assemblers tend to do that. They just fill themselves up but never empty themselves. So say I've got a cargo container right here with ingots in it. I'd have a tube running to the assembler, or one of the assemblers. Well, I guess you'd have to have a conveyor system behind there because they're not all lined up. And then how would I get the ingots back from that? Because you'd have the tube with the conveyor sorter running back into this container, but then if I do that, the things will go around in circles, because there will be a loop there, so the conveyor sorter will just keep pulling them back to where they started. I mean, the slightly dodgy workaround, the first thing I think of is the slightly dodgy workaround is having a timer block on a long loop, just turning the conveyor sorter on and off in quick just flipping it on and off in that loop, so it empties everything and then switches itself back off, so it's not continuously running. But that's a pretty bad workaround, and I'm guessing it's because I don't know how the conveyor sorting system works properly. There must surely be a way to get around that. So if you know that, that'll save me Googling it. One thing that I have found, docking into other people's systems with conveyor sorters, one annoying thing is that you would dock your ship, as soon as you clicked to dock, everything in your ship would just get drained by a conveyor sorter down in the base. You have the same problem with refineries as well. If I were to park this while I was refining, that's interesting, while refining, a whole bunch of the ores would be pulled through into the system by the refineries automatically. So perhaps I'll need a conveyor sorter, like a conveyor sorter right here. So this is a conveyor, and beneath that is the cargo container, and I did that intentionally in case I wanted to get into this. So I could maybe, although I didn't really think that through, did I? It needed to be one lower. But anyway, I'd redo that. So that way the conveyor sorter could be flipped on and off with a switch, so you could... But then you wouldn't be able to pull stuff through. Conveyor sorters are really annoying. They throw up more problems than they're worth. I'm kind of thinking about just going back to a manual system, because I can manage them really quickly with a lot of ease, with like a whole bunch of naming tricks in the cargo containers, so I have certain codes that I use for each of the different systems, and I can just punch them in. Well, there goes Minty in his new ship. So I have the codes that I can punch in with my left hand, like XXX is my usual one. You can see that on the Barry. Go in here. I don't really have it set up, but you do that, you've got components there. And this is a bit of a mess because there's two systems. Sal uses this as well, so she has her own system. But that enables me so I could move things from one sort of system or assembly system to another area with a different code, and just move them around very efficiently manually. So I'm kind of... I want to use the conveyor sorting system because I like the idea of the entire thing being automatic, with certain things that I don't want being disassembled, and just the general liking of wanting to build an automated system, actually engineering. But at the same time, I know it's going to bring up a whole bunch of problems. Just briefly before I go, just to explain what's happening in case you don't follow the other series. The Merry Friends is a series that I was doing with Sal, Ace, the Merry Gamer, and myself. That didn't make sense. I thought there was another person for some reason, and so I panicked and said me. But yeah, I'm in the series. It was on a separate on a separate multiplayer world of Space Engineers, obviously, where we were just building a base together. Yes, however, we started the Season 2 world of here. It seemed a little bit silly to have a second world for our own stuff, so we moved it here, and we're building the center platform. Yeah, out there. The center platform, it's actually up there. The center platform being used for a variety of different reasons. The one that we're building at the moment is the post office. So yeah, we're all together, we're building the post office. Each of us have our own, strengths and weaknesses, so together we make quite a good team building it all. And now I've forgotten my train of thought. Yes, and we're building the post office that we've just started. It's being uploaded at the moment. If you start at episode 51 on my channel, or 52, that is where we're at. So we're just starting the post office building there. So if you haven't watched that series until now, it's a good time to start. If you like stuff on this server, then that ties directly in. Sorry, I just got annoyed not knowing where it was. That asteroid up there. So this series... That's a nice shot. But yeah, both of these series tie directly in. They're both on the same server. There will be congruity problems because we record those ones in batches. So we come together every 2 or 3 weeks and we record, say, 6 or 7 of them in a hit. And then release them every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So, like at the moment, if I was to fly over there would be spoilers. You would see what's going to happen in a few episodes. So it's going to be a little difficult to sort of switch between them. But I think we'll do a section there and then open it up to the public, so then people can start using it while building another section. But yeah, if you haven't started that series before, it's a good place to start right now at episodes 51, 52, somewhere around there, because the post office it's starting to look good. Well, maybe not 51, 52 because we're just starting it now, but in about 6 episodes time, it's really starts to look good, and I'm really looking forward to using it, getting everything into action. Because if you watch Nordic Beast's last episode, I'll link below, you'll see that I just commissioned him for a job, so you can go find out what that is over there. Anyway, like I said, the 27th, 28th of this month, it is looking very likely to have a large event that we're in the process of fleshing it all out and making sure that we can actually do it. It's looking very likely, which is why I'm saying now I don't want to say any more than that, because I have ruined things in the past by announcing them too early. So we're going to make sure that that's all possible, but if you can, that weekend, leave it free, because it should be interesting. Anyway, that's all for this episode. I hope you're enjoying this server, because I very much am. I'm feeling a lot more optimistic about Space Engineers these days, and it's been a lot more fun, especially when you've got a whole bunch of very interesting characters to play with. So I will end on... Oh, I almost did it again. There's been multiple times now where I've had to rebuild this connector 3 times because I keep closing it on itself because there's no timers and I had to do it manually. So we'll just end on something moving, even if it's a nice and simple contraption like that. It always just feels nice when it all comes together. It doesn't break, it doesn't fly everywhere. The you know, it's working in multiplayer. That's always the surprise. If you add a rotor, it's a gamble. Even now, hopefully some of that gets fixed with the multiplayer update. Well, they said it was coming out within 2 months, about a month ago, so hopefully it's soon. But anyway, that's all for this one. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.